Yes, hi everyone. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much for joining me here today again. Yes, we go again. We are going again. It's Olayinka Aremu. You're welcome to today's podcast, episode 2 of the Sharing Your Stories, New Not and Novice Nurse. My name is Olayinka Aremu. Thank you for joining me. So, if you're just joining here now, probably you are on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, wherever you're watching from. Please just let me know where you're watching from and you can just say who you are. I'll so much appreciate. Thank you so much. So, going on now to the episode 2 of the New Not a Novice nurse, sharing your stories of transition to, of course, all international nurses out there. It's so great to be here. And I think as well, I need to mention that this podcast is sponsored by NCO Healthcare Consulting and also in support of my book launch, New Not a Novice Nurse. So if you are passionate about career growth, you're passionate about nursing and healthcare system, then you should be here. Um, Last week, I had the privilege to host one of our international educated nurse, in she's in the UK, and we had the first episode. So what we are doing in this episode, for those that don't know, in this podcast, basically, is sharing the career transition story of internationally educated nurse. So if you have migrated from one country to the other, you're practicing in a country where you did not train, something like that. So this is for you. So thank you so much for joining me. If you know any nurse, can you just tag them? Can you just tag them? Any nurse, any international, irrespective of the country, just tag them in this live session now. You can tag them or you can tag them later just so that they follow through. Today I have a guest all the way from the United States of America. Remember I said I'll be bringing in international educated nurses all over the world, right? All over the world. So thank you for joining me. We're on YouTube Live. If you want to share to your colleagues, to your friends, so that they can join us. So you can share, please. So before I bring in that guest, like I said, I'm going to continue my story in this particular episode. So if you have not seen the first episode, you can head over to YouTube. It's over there. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and share, of course, as they used to say. Yeah, so that is about that. So I think where I ended last week was talking about how I got into Ireland and then started as a nurse in a nursing home. And the major thing I really stressed last week was talking about the shifts in my interests. So from being a nurse educator and being more interested and inclined to family health, maternal and child health, and then I moved to Ireland and I had to start working in a nursing home. So it was a big shift for me. So, and I kind of struggle with that as well. So apart from that shifts, I think what I want to touch on today, still talking about my struggles, my sources and all that, is working with people. Yeah, working with people. Personally, for me, I'm kind of more of an independent person. So, but nursing, you can't work in isolation. So for people who have had maybe 12 years, 10 years of experience in nursing, maybe you are even the CNO, the chief nursing officer of your country before you relocated, and then you're here, you have to work with people. It's something that we need to learn. It's about teamwork, it's about working with the multidisciplinary team, and that's communication having to come in. So for me, because I'm an independent person, most times I just want to sort out what I want to do, without any interference or anybody disturbing me. Because I've been used to that anyways, as a teacher, as a nurse tutor, then you prepare your teaching plan, you do everything, you go out, you teach, and you get your students to engage with you. But it was different. It was different because back then in a nursing home, of course, you need to think about the patient, the families are there. You need to consider your other co-workers, the ACAs, the OT, physio, the multidisciplinary team, especially, and the doctor, like the GP that is attached to the nursing home. So it was a whole too much information, too much communication for me, because I would rather just go do what I want to do and bring in my clinical judgments and do just sort it out. So it was a challenge for me, and I had to take time, of course, listening, taking courses online that has to do with communication as well. So learning how to communicate with the team, you know, took a while for me. It took a while. And, there are some instances where, you know, some people could say she's not a team player. You could say that she's not a team player, but it wasn't like I was doing it deliberately. It was because of what I was used to, but I had to unlearn that. I had to unlearn what I was used to just because of my new environment. So if you're a new nurse here, if you're an international nurse who has just relocated, that could also be something that you experience. And like I said last week, that I ran like just like a random survey that people should share their story. And one of the things that also came out from that, one of the theme was that being not be able to do what you have to do without somebody looking over your shoulder or something like that. You feel like you're being watched. You feel like you're being monitored at every point in time, and that kind of affects your confidence. It affects your ability to just do your job, and you feel like you're being schooled every time. So I felt that way. I actually felt that way at some point, but later on I realized that, for instance, it could be a trust issue, which I'm not going to talk about that today. Sometimes I think there's this issue, like, because you're an overseas nurse, that, well, we can't still trust you that much, so we need to watch you, we need to look at you, we need to see if you are doing it well or doing it right. Why that is good, of course, I think it should be coming more from a place of support rather than monitoring. Yes, it should be coming from that place of supporting rather than just monitoring that internationally educated, which I find that it's almost the case, like monitoring and then reporting if something, if you feel like maybe she's not doing it right, the next thing you're going to report. Yeah, so it was some of the things I struggled with, but like I said, over time I had to learn the rope. I had to learn how to express myself, how to carry my team along. Like, if I'm doing something, I have to carry my team along, and then I'm still eventually doing what I want to do. Yes. So if you're joining us wherever you are, if you have any question you want to contribute to this, you can drop it as well. You can drop your comments or your contribution. I will be seeing it live and I can read it out here. So, still talking about the transition story of internationally educated nurse, that was my story. So, when I eventually moved from nursing home to the hospital, so some of the skills, some of the tools that we had to use, for instance, is back communication tool when you want to communicate with, the other multidisciplinary team, especially the doctors, in case you have things to escalate, you use the ISBAC communication tool. So there are these tools that are made available that you have to learn how to use. There are trainings that you have to take to be able to use this tool. And that has also been helpful. Yeah, and of course, technology also came in. I'm very techy. Let me put it that way. Not everybody will say they are techy, but I'm very techy. But even at that, you see different equipment. You see different, technological piece that you use to manage the patient, and you just have to learn how to use it. You know, there could be some bit of anxiety that comes. Oh, I don't know how to use this. So ask questions. That's where it comes. You asking questions, and taking necessary training, every opportunity to learn about, what you're using, the tool you're using in your place of work should always be your priority. So those are some of the things that help me. The other thing that I also want to share, before I left nursing home, okay, in the nursing home, they were using what they call Epic Care for documentation and all that. So we were not using anything paper to write your paper documentation. It was all electronic. It was all digitalized. So it was Epic Care. In the Epic Care, you find all the patient details like a dashboard, and then you find the care plans, the priorities of the patient, the needs of the patient, like your nursing assessment. All this documentation goes into Epic Care. So that was like, okay, what is this? Firstly, you have to learn it. And unfortunately, they didn't take us through enough. There was no time that much. So it was just the basic thing like uploading admitting patient onto the system and you updating your care plans and all that. So, and maybe you have documentation to put. But at the initial phase, it was a struggle. It was a struggle, and it took time. It took me time before I could go through them. Even for me, somebody like me, that's I'm very tech savvy and all that, but I still struggle with that because this is not just a WhatsApp or a telephone something. It's a system, an healthcare system, and if you do anything, if you make any mistake, it could affect a whole lot of things. And you're talking about patient information here, so that was one thing I had to. So I'm talking about my struggles. I'm talking about my story. I'm sharing my successes as well. So throughout, like I said, throughout this period, 30 days book launch campaign, I'll be sharing my story, and I'm inviting other international educated nurses, irrespective of your country as well, to come up and share your story. Yes. So I'll be inviting in our guests shortly, I think another 5 minutes. But why I wait to invite my guests, I want to talk a little bit about my book, New Not a Novice Nurse. So for those that, if you're just watching this, so New Not a Novice Nurse is a book that I wrote, my second book actually, and it's a guide for international educated nurses or new nurses, new graduate nurses to thrive in the healthcare system or to thrive abroad if you are an international educated nurse. So over time, like we've seen that if you don't have a guide or a map, there's that frustration that comes along the journey of how to navigate the journey, and then it can be very daunting, causes frustration and all that. So this book is a guide that will help to address any concern or any issues that you as a new nurse might have. And it is titled New Not a Novice Nurse because you're not a novice nurse. If you look at the novice to expert theory, a novice is somebody that don't know, you are at the lowest level, but you are not a novice nurse. But sometimes the environment, because you just moved to a new environment, you can have that sense of, do I even know what I'm doing? You can self-doubt yourself. People will doubt you, and talk down on your competence, and you feel like you're not competent enough. In fact, it is possible of course, we have cases by which a nurse who have been working for 18 years, 10 years in their home country, perfectly as a senior nurse, now because they've relocated to a new environment, they are deemed not competent in certain skills. I find that very, very appalling. Like, I feel like it's a shame, it is disgraceful. Like, it's somehow like a ridicule to say that a nurse, a graduate nurse, who had been working, for years in another healthcare system, just because of, let me just say, a particular skill in this setting, and then they are termed not competent. And most of these nurses happen, the next thing they are sacked, their contracts are terminated, or they are asked, to leave the country or something because there won't be any employers to support them. So I think there should be more support out there for new nurses or international educated nurses when it comes to helping them get integrated well into the system. So this book is not just for the nurse, it's also for employers, nursing organization, hospitals to really understand the struggle that a new nurse go through, an overseas nurse or migrant nurse go through. And because of a shortcoming, that doesn't mean that they should be written off. Yes, it doesn't mean that they should be written off. They should be supported along that line. It's just saying that as if maybe you have a child or you have an apprentice that you're learning how to it's not even relatable, honestly. Like, and then because you say you don't know how to do a zip, then that means you don't know how to sew. People could struggle with some elements because it's a new environment, it's a new healthcare system. They need to be supported at that point and not just being labeled or being termed incompetent. Yes. So I think there's a lot of work that needs to go into that. So a lot of more support for international educatedness, and this is what this book will, serve to do as well. In my role here, it's my 7 years in Ireland, and most of the presidents of the Association of Nigerian Nurses every day, as at this last night, last night or this morning, there was still a complaint, and I have to say this here, of a nurse whose contract was terminated. Why? Because of a medication error. Now, medication, patient safety is very important. And the first question I asked was, did any patient die? Was there any, you know, health risk, risk to this patient that, consequence that could be maybe severe and all that? So no. Okay. Is it the first time, offender or something like that? Yes. So this is the first time. This is somebody that has not recorded any complaint, any issue over time. And just because I don't want to, not like I'm using just to trivialize it, but because of an act, a singular act of medication error, this nurse contract was terminated. Yes, and without warning, without any investigation whatsoever, just contract terminated. So, and a lot of other things around it. So I'm just talking about the support need of international educated nurses, and this is one of the things that this book could do to help us, to help everyone. I talk about my own life journey as well, and the experiences of other nurses along line, and then bringing out themes from this to um, share and to support, to inspire, and to guide internationally educated nurses, especially. But then, like I said, it's not just limited, it's not just restricted to nurses alone. Any professional, if you are going to a new environment, I know a lot of people, professions travel, it's not only nurses, doctors, physiotherapists, and all that. The elements in this book, the topics in this book will also guide you. All right. So I'm just waiting on there for our guests. I'm just going to remind her to join. Just 1 second. Please ask if you have any question or any contribution. If there's anything you want me to share, you want me to touch on, please, you can also ask or share. Don't forget, I'm hosting, this story session. If you want to feature, you can just send me an email or send me a DM wherever you are. Apart from that, you get a chance to feature in the book. So every story shared there will be put together into one chapter in the book. Hopefully, you have a story that looks like yours, and then you'll be supported along the line. Now, just to share this kind of news as well. So it's a 30 days. We're embarking on a 30 days launch campaign, which we started today. So what that's intended to do is to make sure that we spread the news about this book all over the world. Now we know that, the nursing migration is global, and every country, there's this migration going on. It's more like a pandemic now. So you have an international nurse in your ATA organization. Make sure that they get this book. Yes, even if they have been there for years, they need to get this book. If they are new, or if you're planning to bring in an international nurse, make sure they get this book, New Nurse and Novice Nurse. Yes, it is a life-saving guide. Honestly, I poured all my heart and my soul and my spirit into the book. And I tell you that I was actually being careful so that I don't turn to the book to encyclopedia, because there's just so much support need, so much things that that the international educated nurse definitely needs. But of course, I'm trying to make it not too bulky. Yeah, that's why I'm using this opportunity as well to share some of the things that I might not touch on in the book. And then, we have this episode, we can share a lot of stories, we can share success stories as well. Now, before I leave this session, I want to talk about how my own journey as well. I'll continue my story, so I'm not going to finish my story in a day. But one particular thing I want you to hold on to today is that your dream is valid. Your dream is valid. So, because I was lecturing back in Nigeria, and I always wanted to go back to lecturing, but it took me a while. It actually took me up to 6.5 years before I could, eventually go back to my, original, academic position. And now, not just a nurse. I'm an assistant professor in nursing, and I'm back to the academics. But it took me a while. It took me a while, and that's because of the environment. But if you have a goal, if you have a vision, it is achievable. I tell you, it is definitely achievable. Just waiting for our guest there, because this is not about me. It is about you. It is about all internationally educated nurse. Okay, again, like I said, our guest is from the United States, so it doesn't matter your location, we can accommodate you. Okay, we can accommodate you. I'm just going to wait for her there. Just 1 second. So, just this morning, when the my launch team started the campaign and all that, and something came up, and we're like, okay, what else can we do? Trying to develop the 30 days campaign plan. So I'm just saying this, that we have not even put it up in the group. We're going to be having a challenge. Sometimes that will be announced. It's called Brag About Your Nursing Skills Challenge. Yes, brag about your nursing skills challenge. Because like I said, there's so many times we feel less. Situations, people that we work with can make us feel like we don't know enough. It can make us feel like as international nurse, that you're not brilliant, something like that. But so that's why I said need to be the first person to blow your own trumpet. You know, blow your own trumpet. Yes, we have our guest here. Oh yeah, Yemi is here. We have our guests. Very well. Thank you. Welcome.
All right, can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, we can hear you very loud and clear. Can you hear her on Instagram? Yes, I know they can just hear you, but they won't be able to see you. But that's fine. We are live on YouTube as well. If you want to share the link with your loved ones so that they can follow through as well. So let me welcome once again Olajebi Akinyemi, all the
Okay.
way.
Uh, we are doing
Oh,
fine.
man. Okay, Akinyemi Olayemi Akiola. Everything. All right, you're welcome. Thank you so much for joining me here on the New Not a Novice Nurse podcast, and also live stream here. So we're on YouTube, like I said. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Very well. Just 1 second. So can you just introduce yourself first to us, to the people? Let's know
All
you.
right. My name is Olayemi, popularly known as Yemak, and I'm based here in Iowa, in the United States of America. And I've spent more than 2 years and still counting. And I'm hopeful to explore more of this place as we journey in life. Thank you.
Did you say more than 2 years? So how long precisely? So
Oh, we
um,
arrived December
let me just say,
2021.
just share your journey from when, to the US. How was that? Just
Oh,
briefly.
okay. So, the start of the journey, of course, I may not really be able to say that specifically, but I know it took me almost 2 years from the start to the ending of the process before we finally transitioned to the state. However, during the transitioning, it was full of ups and downs, but we thank God that it was a success.
We are
And
interested in that ups and downs. We are
of
interested
course,
to know
ups
about.
and downs include policies that would
Mm.
affect, your migration to the other countries and all that. I remember that I was waiting for my interview date when Trump said they banned Nigerians from entering the US via the immigrant visa. So that held us for at least 1 year. And we were praying that there should be a change of government, and that phase of life taught me one lesson in life. When God says, this is your journey or this is your pathway in life, just trust Him for
Mm,
saying that. Trust God and be patient with it. God said, that is where I have sent you to. And then I woke up and I had that news. I was not perturbed. I knew that somehow, this policy would one day be changed
mm,
because I am following that divine direction. And I'm thankful to God that I waited. And maybe after 9 months, there was a change of government. Gates were lifted up. It doesn't
mm.
necessarily mean that the powers that be might die, just that God might change the power so that it can work in your
Okay.
favor.
So I just wonder, what were you doing? Okay, let me say, you wanted to go to the United States of America.
Yeah.
Was there something in particular? Why not UK? Why not Ireland? Why not Australia? So what kind of informed your choice
Oh.
of relocating to US? Why did you
Mhm.
relocate? Yeah,
Okay. So
precisely.
for everyone in life, we all have our likes, our dislikes, and all that. But for someone like me, I usually love, listening to the word of God, the voice of God. What is God telling me part time? And when I would, and how God's, speak to individual is definitely different. But for
Mm,
me, it's usually impressed in my mind, and then during my dreams, when I dream that, okay, this is where so it was so specific. Don't go to UK, don't go to Canada, don't go to Australia, go to US. And when I started the journey, of course, friends, colleagues, everybody would definitely have an impact in influencing your decisions. So many of my friends were going to UK, and I was like, oh, I think let me also go to UK because that is where my friends are. They were all going to UK and at that time. So when I started that journey, God reminded me again with my dream, like, oh, it's still US, and then I backed out. So,
but my question specifically is why? What was your motivation, or you think what inspires you to want to relocate?
oh, to relocate. I didn't want to say this, but because you asked me, I was used to be this kind of person. Like, if everybody leaves, who's gonna change the policy? Who's gonna change the
Mm,
profession? Let us have people that can change our profession in Nigeria. But
mhm,
something happened that really broke my heart. That
mm,
time they changed the leadership of where I was working, and then the leadership brought a new policy that even the people that we looked up to that have spent more
mm,
than 25 years in services should go back and be doing shift work. That's night work. We call them the CNOs. At that point in time, once you're a chief nursing officer, your shift responsibility changes, your
mm.
responsibilities and roles also changed. But
Okay.
because of the new policy, they reverted them back to like someone working like a normal new nurse in the
Mm,
system. And that got me like, no, I can't continue this way. That means even when I attain that level that you think you want to influence some things, influence is just like you are just starting because of the powers that be. So if you do not, explore and see what is going on in the outside world, you might not actually bring about the changes that you actually desire in that, your state that you were thinking that
okay.
you would change it.
So it was more of be like frustration from where you were. You just wanted,
Exactly.
to go to
Honestly,
a
I
better.
was I was crying, like I was weeping because these are the people you look up to. And then you
Mm,
were like, oh, one day I'll be like this people and I'll be able
okay.
to do this, do this. And then powers that be came and then, rendered them powerless. And then they
Mm,
now become, they just like lower their responsibilities. And then I don't really see the future I was dreaming of
yeah,
being in
exactly.
this
So
environment.
It's you like seeing that, well, I don't think that my dreams, my future suits this environment. So looking
Exactly.
forward to that greener pasture. I like they always say commonly. Yeah. So thank you for that. So the other thing, yeah. So now let's forget about why. Now that you when you got to the US, what were the challenges, specifically talk us through the challenges that you encountered and the successes during the transition process.
Okay, so during the transition process, I will start from the challenges.
Mm,
Number one, you would think, ironically, when I was in Nigeria, I happened to be an health tutor with one of the academies, and I was teaching writing.
mm,
So then you feel on top of the world, like you know what you're doing. And by the time you transitioned, you discover that you don't know anything, like in terms of accents. People don't even understand what you are saying. Like, what are you saying? Are you talking? Are you speaking English? And I was like, oh my God. So your accent will give you away. Like, where are you from? From Africa. Oh, no wonder. Can you
yeah,
please let me
that's the first way.
can you please get me someone that can speak better English? And you'd be like, so if you're not very careful, that can affect your confidence in
Mm,
delivering your care. And the way, let me just list those challenges and then we can talk about how I
yeah,
overcame them.
yeah.
The second, that was the primary challenge I had, the communication because of my accent. And the second one is culture. There'll be a
Mm,
lot of culture shock when you transitioned. Things that were normal to you will become abnormal, while things that were abnormal to you will become normal. What do
okay.
I mean?
Can you touch up on that a bit?
Of
Yeah.
course, when I was in Nigeria, even if you have a nursing officer that is above you by just a level, if the person is coming to the floor, you want to stand up to acknowledge the leadership or the hierarchy. But here, even my nurse manager, I call her by name. At first, it was so difficult for me, but I discovered that I will be weird if I don't follow the bandwagons, because
Trend.
that is the trend. You know, my nurse manager calls everyone, even the cleaner, everybody called themselves by names. And I was like, what is going on here?
And
You
it's by
know,
the first name, not even the surname. It's by
not
the first
not
name.
by
Yeah.
your last name, it's
Like
by your
they always
first
say,
name. Akinola.
Nos,
Oh, yeah, you understand. In Nigeria, I was referred to as Nurse Akinola. In fact, when I was coming, I had a customized nurse's watch that I had
okay.
to, and the person was asking me, what should I, of course, put Akinola there because that's
Mm,
my Lego name. Until I came here, I know this, it should have put Yemi there. So it's so like, okay. So that also, I had to deal with it. And it affected me for over 1 year. Even till now, I still have the consciousness that it's my manager.
mm,
I don't look at her right in the face. Whereas she
mm.
wants to speak with, many times she call me, my heart jumps because that's how our hearts used to jump when the leaders
Yeah.
called us over there. So yeah, it's a different thing entirely. The third challenge is your color.
Mm,
Your color gives you away. Once they see that you're black, they believe that, oh no, this is that. No matter how you want to paint it, that
mm.
color will always like be a kind of introduction that, oh, this person is new here. And then they want to see what you want to, everybody wants to put an eye on what you want to do.
Yeah.
Are you going to do it well? Are you going to be asking more questions that are irrelevant? You know,
Mm,
how are you going to build that confidence that you were bringing from where you were coming from? Are you going to maintain who you have been?
yeah.
Are you going to pretend, or are you going to be humble, or are you going to be proud? All those things are going to um, uh, be considered when you transitioned. And then, just not to keep just to save time.
No, it's fine.
Lastly,
Yeah.
lastly, I would say attitude, and that attitude you can tie it as well to culture. When I send my subordinates or my lower ranked staff an errand in Nigeria, I don't feel as if I feel it's their responsibility, but it's not like that here. So, first and foremost, whoever is transitioning must understand that they have to learn, relearn, and unlearn. If they
Mm.
are not ready to do that, it's going to be difficult for them. Because here, somebody told me, my nurse assistant told me, "Do you know you are rude?" And I was
Hmm.
shocked. Nobody has
Like,
ever told me that in my line of
really?
profession. Talking to someone in the lower capacity, they don't feel like that here. They feel
Yeah.
the cleaner is as the same as the clinical manager in terms
Mm.
of respect, mutual respect for each other. But
Yeah.
me, because of the way we were built in Africa, that if you're talking to your subordinates, you can just say, "Ah, can you help me do this?"
Mm.
But here, you have to put maybe please, or you say, "Oh, I would have loved to do this. Would you mind
Would
doing
you
this?"
mind? Yeah.
There are ways you talk that it will be acceptable to them.
Respect.
Yeah, you have to put that respect in, and they don't like confrontation. In Africa, we don't send people, we confront people. When you
Mm.
feel that thing is not too good, you say, "Hey, I don't like this thing. Why do you spill what's it called? Why do you spill medications everywhere? You people should gather things that you just say it freely and everybody is fine after, because you feel you are the boss." Yeah,
Yeah.
even though you are the RN and you have LPN, you have CNA, you have PCTs, and you have the
Move
outsourced,
on titles.
you have all those things, you still have to talk to that CNA the way you would talk to your clinical manager. There
Mm.
should not be any distinction.
I think it's more about emotional intelligence as well.
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah.
Very well.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, let's talk about your successes. So, what would you consider as being your success, or up to date?
Oh, number one, my success, of course, is transitioning to this place. They usually said it's not always green in the other side. It's not always
Yeah,
green
it's not
on the
always
other
there
side,
in the
right?
green side, so to say.
I've seen a lot of podcasts, a lot of people coming out to say, "Hey, they hype things and all that." I don't know, but for me, that's one of my best, achievements in life, transitioning to this other side. Because number one, there will be value for what you give out to people.
Mm.
You are well valued. You are valuable now. You know that
Yeah.
when, like, I was working, I think 2 days ago, and a colleague said, "Thanks for saving lives." That word touched my heart. Like,
Mm.
it made me feel fulfilled working in my line of assignment. And a
Mm.
colleague walked up to me and said, "Thanks for saving lives." It means a lot to
Yeah.
us. Where we're coming from, I don't think someone has ever told me thanks for
It's
saving
paid
lives.
well. It's your job. It's your job,
It's
and
your
it's your.
job. You're paid for it. They don't appreciate those little things. And here, when I was in Nigeria, I used to think, how insane would you be working full time and be working another place? How possible? I used to hear that people abroad, they can work three different
Free
work, three different jobs. You can't do it. I was like, why? But now when I'm in the system, I discover how flexible things are.
Mm.
I'm speaking to you as a registered nurse. I might be in another meeting the next 1 hour speaking to group of people as a financial professional,
Okay.
because my environment has given me that enablement
Enablement.
to
Mm.
expand my capacity.
Okay.
So here, what you don't think you can do while you're at home, you will see yourself doing more than your imaginations. I
Because
used
there are so many opportunities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I was growing up, I used to think people that braid their hair by themselves on their hair are witches. They have spiritual powers. Yes, that was how, not
Okay.
really pessimistic, or how, I won't say daft, but how,
Your perception.
yeah, when you are enclosed in a particular culture, you don't know that things can be done in another way.
Mm.
When I got here, I learned how to do hair by myself, and people say, "Your hair is super beautiful."
So you do make this yourself?
I braid myself, my dear. All I need
Oh,
to do is to sit down, watch this one. Somebody did it for me actually, though.
okay.
But For the first 1 year that I was here, when I wasn't earning much, I
Mm.
was watching the system. I don't want, sometimes they just give you a lot of things. Don't go and do hair, it's very expensive. So I sat on YouTube, watch it. Now I know how to, crochet my hair. And everybody say, oh no, this is so beautiful. Who did this for you? Can you help me? You know,
Mm.
and I was like, no, I did it myself. And I started encouraging them to also go and learn things to do by
So,
themselves.
so I suppose what comes with that, it's you were able to build a lot of resilience along the line and
Mhm.
developing your some innate skills within you that
Yes,
you never discovered before, and that's because
exactly.
you saw the possibility
The
in your
possibilities.
environment.
Exactly.
Okay, very
Mm-hmm.
well. Yeah, I'm sure you have a lot of more success stories, but I'm just going to run through the questionnaire, especially for our audience as well. You talked a little bit about culture, right? And language. And I think I find that very, very interesting. How did you particularly overcome any cultural or language barriers in your new workplace? Like what strategies would you recommend to others facing similar challenges?
All right. Just that, I was just speaking from my head. I listed some challenges, but normally we should do justice by also giving solutions to those challenges.
Yeah, yeah.
And the first one I mentioned, I think language barrier and all that. I came through an agency, so they usually they gave us some websites, YouTube links to watch how to speak in an unfamiliar environment like the
Mm,
US. Now, when you listen to an American, they speak very fast.
mm,
And because you are coming from Africa, already you have an accent. Now, you too, you want to speak very fast so as to align with what you are hearing. Whereas it's gonna be counterproductive
mm.
because they do not understand your accent. So when you speak fast, then they won't hear anything.
Anything.
But when you speak slowly, then they will be picking the syllables and then they'll be able to pick what you are communicating with them.
Mm,
So let's say, for instance, I want to tell them that, hey, Mr. Greg, good morning. How was your night? I hope you had a good sleep. I would say, hey, Mr. Greg, good morning. My name is Yemi. I would be your nurse for today. How was your night? I hope you had a good night. The person would hear me and would answer in his own level of, thought and
yeah,
speech. Like,
yeah.
oh, I'm fine. My night was good. My night was calm. In fact, I had a nice night
Mm,
until I woke up around 4 a.m. when someone woke me up. They were checking my vitals. I'm even tired of all these places and all that. And then, like,
yeah.
okay. I said, okay, all right. I'm going to ensure that I do not disturb your sleep pattern today. Just let me know what you need at any particular, point in time. Oh, thank you.
But would that not look like you're too slow? Like,
That now
because that's where the point is. Where the person listening to you might feel like, is this person doing slow motion?
that
Like that kind of
like
thing.
now, see, that is where we all got it wrong.
Mm,
We usually think that when we are very fast, we will be talking at their own pace and then they
mm,
will be able to catch up. The answer is no, they won't understand. I tried it because I
mm.
ignored what I learned.
Yeah, I think I've
Because
experienced it as well. And then they will say, well, what did you say?
what did you say? Because you were fast. But by the time you said, okay, I am Yemi, I'll be your nurse for today. And
Mm,
with time, you can now start increasing your tone after the person has mastered the first 10 minutes of your conversation.
yeah,
Now, the person would understand your intonation, your accent, because you were slow. So the person know that instead of you to say water, you
you
call
say
it
water.
water. Now, but when you are so fast, can I bring you hot water? You say, what are you saying?
What? That
Water?
what?
Wait, you understand? What are you saying? But if
Yeah,
you
I
say,
understand you.
can I bring you hot water? Say, what is water? I say, I mean water. Oh,
Mm.
okay. Do you mean water? Oh, yes. Oh, okay. Please get me a cup of ice water. So that's how
Yeah.
you blend with
So
time.
so it's learning the culture and learning when it comes to communication. Like you said, you were able to use some tools or some
And this is
resources.
and this is what I'm going to say that you will understand with me. Whenever you see a public speaker that
Mm.
is of American origin, I don't know of British, but of
Yeah.
American origin, you will discover they don't speak fast. Go and listen to them. Not their films, not their music or
Mm.
whatever. But if they are addressing the nation like Joe Biden, they
Yeah.
will speak slowly.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that is how they speak. But because they know that they are talking to wider uh
Okay.
audience, they have to keep it slow so that people can understand. When you see a normal American speaking, you might not understand because they are very fast.
Yeah. But when
But
it
when,
comes to
but when
public
they're now
speaking,
communicating with the public, there is a way they express themselves. So that means that slowness will make you to understand those syllables and you'll be able to understand them. So also for you too, that you feel you want to communicate with them, you must learn to keep it slow.
yeah, very, very well. Thank you so much. I think the key thing you touched on today is about communication,
Yeah.
and I coach for OET. You know, I used to do that actively. Now I have other team members working with me. And I think that's one of the strong points that I felt like OET had over IELTS because as part of the writing and the speaking, it's more healthcare related. So everything you're doing is
Mhm.
healthcare related talk, you know, for your practice, for the exam. So I find that very, very helpful. Like you said, watching videos, listening to podcasts as well help me, you know, because you can be, it helps with my listening because sometimes it's the other way around. They are talking but you can't hear them, and there's
Exactly.
no how you can communicate well if you can't hear what the other person is saying well.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell you something that what used to happen to me, which was also like my own struggle. They said something, maybe your team member or that person has said something. You didn't hear, but because you don't want to ask that what did
Exactly.
you say? Or you
You
don't want them
assume
to feel like are you deaf or something. You say you just nod, okay. And then you go behind and you're struggling, you don't have the proper information. And
information.
that leads to a lot of error, like in
Errors.
a lot of issues
Exactly.
as well. So it's very important that you be clarify information. There's
Exactly.
nothing wrong with saying, can you speak slowly?
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with said, can you come again? Like I didn't
Again.
hear you clearly. Please can you repeat what you just said? So
Exactly.
but many of us we are very shy because
Exactly.
we don't
Mm-hmm.
want to feel inferior in court, and then you just said, okay, no problem. And for my Indian colleagues as well, you know, you if you have an Indian colleague that's
Of
working with
course, we
you,
have many of them.
it's another way that you are talking to them and then they're not nothing like this. You know, these are all cultural things that we need to master. So they're nothing like this and you feel nothing means confirmation of understanding, and that
No,
is it.
no.
So and this is where we have to really be careful when it comes to communicating with the team,
Mm-hmm.
because the Indian staff not did like this and you felt like it's confirmation that they understood what you just passed and
No.
you went ahead, then you
Mhm.
know misinformation it's going to lead
Yeah.
to lack of care or something
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
definitely along line with the patient. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very important. Communication, it's key. I think this is something that we all need to take, all our audience need to take um you know take care of today. Now I'm going to go into another question. In your opinion, now okay, let me ask this one first. Before you traveled, right, if you had had access to a guide or resource before transitioning, now of course you know that I'm doing this to promote my book New Nurse and Novice Nurse book as well, which is a guide for internationally educated nurse.
Mm-hmm.
So if you had access to a guide or resource before transitioning, what specific information or insight would have been most beneficial to you?
Hmm. That is a bit tricky because most times before we travel, we just want to travel.
That's
Or
what
we
I'm
just
saying.
all we
So
want to do.
are there things now that you felt, or maybe in the first one or
Yes,
two, where you that you
of
felt like,
course.
I wish I had knew this before I traveled?
Yes, communication.
Mm,
Here, the way we communicate down the hierarchy is different from the way we communicate where I was coming from.
mm,
So I would like to know that, oh, okay, I need to talk to my nurse manager the way I need to talk to the cleaner. So that
respect.
people would not think I am rude.
Mm,
People will not think, who am I?
mm,
I need to know how to, like, this idea of speaking slowly,
mm,
because we believe in Africa we talk slowly.
mm,
That our English is 111. So now going slower than what we think it's not going to be the best, whereas that is the solution. So
for fast.
don't rush it.
Yeah,
Take it one at a time. Then I'm going to tell you, some people used to say fake it until you
you
make
make.
it. Here, you let something compensate for your inadequacy.
Mm,
When I come, because I have a lot of friends that have challenges and are still having those challenges, and it makes them to get frustrated.
mm,
How I could not get frustrated was because I make, like, I compensated for my inadequacies. What are my inadequacies? My accents. Because
mm,
they couldn't, the larger population I'm serving here couldn't understand how I speak to them. So, I mean, at least in the first, it's recently that people don't ask, what are you saying again?
saying again. Mm,
For my first 1 year, it was just like that. So, anytime I go into my patient room, the first thing I welcome them with is my smile.
mm.
So, even though they are crazy, they are not liking you somehow, that smile, it's been a while.
Wins them over.
It's been a while they've seen a smiling face around. So when you smile, it brings a kind of connection. They want to hear what you want to tell them. Some will tell you you are a sunshine just
Yeah.
because you smile at them, you know. So that's so make sure that you have something. So another thing that I had is that, when we were working, I don't know, maybe it was a culture then. When we go in our
Mm,
nursing uniform, we were not really trained to be using all these deodorant or mouth perfume
mm,
and all that. Yeah, I don't know if that's occurs in Ireland as well. They are very sensitive to smell.
yeah.
So you must try your best to be at your best when you are going to workplace.
Smell
Don't
nice.
smell nice. Try not to smell like try to smell nice.
Yeah, smell
I would
nice.
say try
It could
because
also be
learning
a
how to
compliment. Mm-hmm.
try not to smell nothing.
Mm,
Let there be a kind of attraction towards you. Like your patient want to speak with you just because of the way you smile. I mean, sorry, just because of the way you smell.
yeah, and they just say, "Well, you smell nice." That's a compliment, and that's a gateway to communication as well.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
When your patient welcomes you with, "Oh, what a smell. Thanks for coming in."
Yes,
No matter what, you take your medication, he will take it. Hey, come and bath, he will bath. Because he wants you around. But by the time your patient say, please, can I speak with your clinical manager?
because you don't
Please,
smell
can
nice.
you tell that person not to come to my room because they smell? I'm telling you, these are the things I've experienced there.
So yeah, I understand you.
You told
So
one
like
of a
you,
colleague to go and bath. It was that bad. So
okay,
try to be intentional
yeah,
because as long as you make provisions for your, like, compensating for your inadequacies, then with time you build your confidence over time.
yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for touching on these, because these are some of the things that we rarely talk about.
Yes.
So I really appreciate that you're mentioning. And just to talk about compensation there, I just wanted to really stress this out, that because we're talking about the book New Not a Novice Nurse, and these are some of the things that makes nurses feel less of themselves because they feel like they have so much inadequacies. So I would say that the inadequacies in quotes, but not necessarily because you are inadequate,
No, we
especially
are not
like you
talking
said,
about your
your
competency as a
skills.
nurse.
Yeah, your skill. No, but we have instances where even the competencies are questioned, and like you've touched, yeah, your competencies are questioned because on the first instance, just because of the skin, of the color, like you mentioned, for
Yeah.
people who are, of other colors. Remember that like the book is not just about black, it's for internationally. So even if you have a white skin,
And you're an
because
Indian,
you
your
are
accent will keep
new,
you
yeah,
away.
because you are new in that instance,
Yeah,
it
exactly.
is possible that there's this perception of she might not be the best. She might not
Of
know this as the
course.
best. Yeah. So, in that instance, how you can compensate for that is just do your job and make sure that your skills speak for itself. Right. Now, I know that when I started, then everybody will always say that when it comes to technology or you want to sort out something online, even then I was talking about Epic Care, patient care plan, just to put it, I will be the go-to person. I had other challenges I was going through, but at least that I had a strength in that. And over time, I was able to use my strength to overcome my weakness. So I think that's what you're trying to say. So
Exactly.
let
Yeah.
your skill speak for itself, and
Mm-hmm.
that will silence whatever, you know, uh, poor perception or negative attitude that anybody could have. You talk about SMILE, which is very important. I'm bringing like like a short acronym there. SMILE, you talk about smell nice, and then your skill. Those are the three S.
SSS.
Okay?
I
Yeah,
trust you
three
now.
S.
Uh,
As an
uh,
educator.
but let me put one thing out there because of what you mentioned.
Yeah.
Uh, when you meet a patient, what you tell them also builds confidence in them that you can
Mm,
care and deliver. Some people might prefer a new graduate over you that have 20 years experience just because of whatever you tell them.
mm.
Many patients are interested in how many years have you been doing this work so that they can know if they can lay their life for you
We
to
can
give them
trust. Yeah.
care. So you might say, my name is Yemi and I'll be your nurse. I've been doing this for the past 11 years and I will be glad to care for you today.
Mm,
That statement alone would go a long way in building the confidence that if you are going to give them Tylenol, it's not going to be ibuprofen.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
know your coins or know your onions.
Communicate your expertise.
Let
Yeah.
people know who you are. It also build that confidence.
Mm,
Don't just uh let that strength also play a big role in communicating
yeah.
with your client or with your patient. Yes.
Wow, thank you so much. Like these are like I said, these are real things that we talk about and
Yeah.
they're very important. And I was saying before you came in that while writing this book, I found out that there was so much that could go into the book. So much. Like you said, if we are going on a journey, there's nobody to guide you, no map, no guide. It's easy, you
Hmm.
get frustrated along the line. So
Exactly.
I'm hearing from nurses and my experience as well. I knew that there's no how I could cover everything in the book.
Of
So
course.
that's one of the reasons for having this podcast and also inviting other international educators to share their story, their strengths, their struggles, their successes alongside that peradventure I might not have covered, in the book. So thank you so much, Olayemi, for coming. Now, the before you go, what advice? I know you talk about a lot, but specifically, what advice would you give to other internationally educated nurses who are preparing to transition into a new healthcare environment?
I would tell them to be positive. Let them have that positive mindset that they are breaking new grants, so they're gonna
Mm,
meet challenges. But their mindsets would definitely help them when they are breaking those challenges.
mm,
They're gonna meet a lot of negativities on their way because it's a
mm,
new grant, but their positive attitude towards it. When someone tells you, I don't understand what you're saying. Can they change you? I don't cry over it. I don't think too much over it. I'll be like, what I have passed through, you have never passed through it. You have never left the shore of your country. Me, I left the shore of my country. That's an achievement
Yeah.
that you have never had. That
Mm,
alone is a strength on my part, and made me not to see when they give me patient, like maybe they are heavy patients. For me, that's my own perception that, oh, they gave me the patient that they don't like, and then they give
mm,
their friends patient that they love. I see it
mm.
as building myself, that if I don't do all these things, how will I know better? How will I be able to tell people about, managing
Yeah.
critical cases? There was a time I was pregnant, and they gave me a patient in room 1 and gave me another patient in room 32. And I, instead of me to be sad over it, I wasn't, because
Mm,
it's a long corridor from 1 to room 32. No, sorry, from 1 to room 18, because it's like a four corner. So
yeah.
18 is the end of the wall, and then 32 is the beginning. 1 is the beginning at the other side. So it's like a U-shaped wall. Now, they gave me a patient in room 1, they gave me one in room 18, and then they gave me one in room 24. I was so happy that day because I saw it as exercise. Like, oh, thank God today I don't need any extra exercise. So I
Same
was
here.
just, yeah. So that's the mindset. Whatever challenges that comes your way, because you have a positive mindset towards, you won't be bitter. And because you're
Yeah.
not bitter, you will not be frustrated. And because you're not
Yeah.
frustrated, you ride over it successfully. So
Exactly.
whatever comes your way, see it as a lesson to greatness. Don't see
Mm.
it as they hate me, they don't like me, they don't like my face. No. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
just,
Thank
just,
you.
just keep it positive.
Positive, positive. Thank you so much, Olayemi. Thank you for coming in, and it's been a blessing even listening to you. And I know that you have a lot of plans. And for people that don't know, like she really said there, that she's a financial advice,
Professional. I'm not an
professional,
advisor.
financial professional, not just a nurse. So that's another thing. For
Mm,
me, I think, like you said, moving abroad actually opened up a lot of possibilities for me, and
yeah,
I was able to explore, become an author. Not like you can't be an author if you are still in
of
Nigeria, but
course.
for me, it was more like an enabling environment, and like you said, seeing the positive, positivity in your environment despite all the odds. And that's why my post this morning, I said I made it not because I am now a billionaire, but because I know that I'm thriving. I'm really thriving against all odds.
Yeah.
Even as an international educated nurse. So if you're not
Mm-hmm.
getting anything at all from this podcast, just that positiveness, that possibility, that's what we are putting out there. And especially you seeing other people like you
Mm-hmm.
who had gone through the same process like you, succeeding successfully. I think that's a great motivation. So
That's great.
be on the lookout there to get the book. Pre-order now. It's still at €9.95, and after launch it's going to go into €20 for the e-copy. So please and please, it's a book you don't want to miss. And make sure that Yemi, please tell them about this book or what you think that this book would do.
Oh my God. Of course, this book is a blessing to nurses out there, honestly. Even if you're not can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, even if you are not an internationally educated nurse or whatever, because knowing things that you're going to learn from this book is going to set you apart from your colleague. It's going to make you to be ahead of others, because now you're not going to be learning from your own bitter experiences. You'll
Mm,
be learning from others. And those people that learn from others' experiences are the most successful in life, not the
mm,
people that learn from their own experience. Because
mm,
learning from your own experience would definitely, number one, set you back before you now
mm,
realize the truth, and then before you now forge ahead. But when you have an access to a resource to build your life, to make you, to make you grow, you would avoid the mistakes that people in the, that have gone ahead of you made. And that will
yeah.
make you like, it will just be a roller coaster to success for you, because
Yeah.
now you know that you don't need to to um to run fast when you're talking to people. Now you know you have to smell nice. Now you know you have to keep positive mind. Now you know that it's gonna be better The way you were last year is not going to be the way you will be next year. So it's just a matter of time. But you can't know all this without the book, because of course I know my own contribution is just like a tip of an
Yeah.
iceberg. So talking about the total iceberg, by the time you assimilate those things, it will make you to stand out among others. So definitely I'm going to recommend it for everyone, not only myself, but for people coming in that pathway.
Thank you so much, Yemi. New Not a Novice Nurse is a
Yes,
book.
so
Myself, I need to buy it for myself.
yes,
Actually, I need
so
to buy it personally myself. And the vision for the book, just quickly now that you're seeing, I know you go soon. For the book, I think about 2 years, and it came from just one statement or one sentence that I made during one of my coaching. So I developed this particular module on cultural integration and
yeah.
cultural, about it, cultural diversity
Mm-hmm,
as
mm-hmm,
well.
mm-hmm.
And while I was trying to put up that module, one sentence where I was trying to encourage nurses like, you may be new, but you are not a novice.
Hmm.
And this is 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. That statement stuck with me, even though it came out from me,
Mm,
but it stuck with me. And I kept
exactly.
reflecting, like,
Mm,
really? Because if we go by the novice and expert theory and all that, sometimes you make things, the environment makes you feel like a novice, like you're just starting from
yeah,
the beginning. But what you need to realize is that you are only new. You are not a novice. All you just need to do is to, tap into the resources and opportunities around you, and that makes you better. So, and this is what the book will do. Yes, thank you so much, Yemi. It's a pleasure having you here. And I'm sure that you're going to launch this book when it comes with, bringing in a lot of your friends. And just to say that the pattern of the launch, is different. You know me now, always is different. So we are
now
not
you,
launching in just one location. We are launching globally,
that's
so virtually, physically, I can be anywhere to launch. So you can invite me to launch this book in your organization with your group of nurses, and then we do the launch there physically or virtually. I'm available because I just want this. I have that strong inclination that this book will help not
people.
only the nurses now, even the organization. Because if you have a well-balanced nurse
Exactly.
working, it's a win-win for everybody, for the nurse, for the employer. So
Exactly.
uh, please, promote this. I'll be very glad. Thank you so much, Yemi.
You're welcome. All right. And have a nice day.
If you're still around, I'm just going to give some announcements and then I'll wrap that up. Is that okay?
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So, guys, I'm so happy today, and it's the end of the episode 2. We actually took 1 hour. Oh my God. Episode 2 of the New Not a Novice Nurse, sharing your stories. We've come to
Mhm.
share your transition story with myself here on this podcast. And this podcast is going to be running all through uh, 30 days up until the launch of the book, New Not a Novice Nurse. I welcome you to join us in this. You can join the book launch team. We are at the moment 71. We are closing up at 100. And so you can find more details about the benefits of you joining the book launch team. Apart from that, you can just go ahead and pre-order at that discounted price now via the website. Use the link in the caption. Now, there's something coming up which I need to let you know ahead. I'm going to bring it out in more details. It's about the bragging challenge. We're talking about, like Amy was saying earlier, that you need to compensate, capitalize on your strengths, capitalize or emphasize your skill, right? So, with that, we are going to be doing what we call brag about your nursing skill challenge. I'll bring in more details about that because we need to communicate our expertise, a lot. And we don't do that. We don't do that a lot. And this is not just for international nurses, international educated nurses, any nurse. Let's talk about what makes us valuable. So I'll bring in more details about that. So thank you so much. Make sure you enjoy your evening and please share this video and subscribe, follow, and use the hashtag new not a novice nurse. I'll see you again. Bye for now.